The gavel cracked like a gunshot in the stale air of the courtroom, and Aaron's world shattered before the echo even faded. Guilty, the judge intoned, her voice flat as a Midwest winter, sealing his fate with two syllables that tasted like ash on his tongue. But it wasn't the verdict that broke him, it was the way Henry, his lawyer, his secret flame, didn't even look up from his notes, as if Aaron's life crumbling was just another line item on the docket. New York City in late autumn was a beast of a place. All gray skies and honking taxis, the kind of relentless grind that chewed up dreamers and spat out husks. Aaron had come here 5 years ago from a nowhere town in Ohio, backpack slung over one shoulder, heart full of that wide-eyed hope only a 22-year-old queer kid could carry. He'd landed a gig at a midtown ad agency, crafting pitches for craft beers and electric cars, telling himself this was freedom, neon lights, drag brunches, men who kissed like they meant it. But freedom had a price tag, and his was stamped discrimination lawsuit. It started with a promotion that went to Chad, straight, white, frat boy Chad with his microaggressions and craft IPAs. Aaron had the ideas, the late nights, the viral campaigns that made clients grin like idiots. But when the corner office dangled, it went to the guy who fit the culture, code for, not the gay one with the rainbow pin on his lapel. HR called it a business decision. Aaron called bullshit and filed the suit, pro bono through some nonprofit that hooked him up with Henry Whitaker, Esquire. Henry was everything Aaron wasn't. Polished, Ivy League, the kind of guy who could charm a jury with a smile and a single raised eyebrow. 42. Silver threading his temples like frost on a winter branch. Broad shoulders filling out Brooks Brothers suits like they were made for him, which they probably were. They'd met in a fluorescent-lit conference room overlooking Times Square, Henry flipping through Aaron's file with those long fingers, his green eyes flicking up to meet Aaron's for the first time. "This is winnable," he'd said, voice like aged bourbon, smooth and low. "But it's gonna hurt." Hurt it did. Depositions where Chad's buddies painted Aaron as too sensitive, always bringing his personal life to work. Late nights in Henry's office on the 42nd floor, takeout tie containers piling up like evidence exhibits, the city sprawling below them like a glittering accusation. Aaron would pace, ranting about the injustice, the betrayal, while Henry leaned back in his leather chair, legs crossed, listening with that half-smile that said he saw right through the anger to the fear underneath. And yet, there were sparks. The first time it happened was accidental, a brush of hands over a deposition transcript, the air thickening like summer humidity. Aaron had pulled back, heart hammering, but Henry hadn't. "You okay?" he'd asked, not moving an inch, his thumb lingering just a beat too long. From there, it was stolen moments. A knee pressed against Aaron's under the conference table, texts at 2 a.m. that read like poetry if poetry was laced with innuendo. "Thinking about that dimple in your cheek when you argue a point," Henry wrote once, and Aaron had stared at his phone in the dark, grinning like a fool, fingers flying back, thinking about how you'd look undone on my couch. But Henry had walls, higher than the Empire State. Divorced 5 years ago, ex-wife, 2 kids in Connecticut, the whole heteronormative package he'd checked off before realizing it was all wrong. "I don't do this," he'd mutter after their first real kiss, in the elevator after a strategy session, lips salty with unspoken regrets. Clients. Messy. Yet he'd do it anyway, pulling Aaron into supply closets or the backseat of Ubers, whispering promises he couldn't keep. "After the trial," he'd say, forehead pressed to Aaron's, "we'll figure it out." The trial itself was a circus. Week 3 in the federal courthouse downtown. Protesters outside waving signs. Love is love. Clashing with traditional values now. The air electric with that big apple volatility. Aaron took the stand on a Tuesday, voice steady as he recounted the emails, the whispers, the way Chad had jokingly called him the token fairy at the holiday party. The jury, 12 strangers, half of them looking like they shopped at the same polo store as Chad, shifted in their seats, eyes darting. Henry cross-examined like a surgeon, slicing through defenses, but Aaron could see the strain. The way his jaw clenched when the defense attorney, a slick shark named Hargrove, dropped the bomb. Exhibit 47. A screenshot from Aaron's Instagram, shirtless at Fire Island last summer. Caption, Pride and Prejudice against straights. Hargrove spun it like venom. Mr. Whitaker, is this the professional demeanor your client brings to the workplace? Partying, flaunting his lifestyle? The courtroom tittered. Aaron's stomach dropped. Henry objected, voice thunder, but the damage was done. That night, in Henry's apartment overlooking the Hudson, first time Aaron had been invited over, they didn't talk about it. Didn't need to. Henry's hands were rougher than usual, pinning Aaron to the silk sheets, their bodies a tangle of need and denial. You're more than that, Henry growled against his neck, but Aaron wondered if he believed it. By week 5, the walls were closing in. Aaron's savings were vapor, rent late, friends ghosting him because drama. His mom called from Ohio, voice thin over the line. Just settle, honey. Come home. He hung up and punched the wall, knuckles splitting like his resolve. Henry found him like that in the lobby of Aaron's walk-up in Brooklyn, rain-slicked and furious. Get in the car, Henry said. No room for argument. They drove in silence to a dive bar in the village, nursing whiskeys until the edges blurred. I love you, Aaron blurted, the words slipping out like a confession in the dim light. Henry's glass paused mid-air, eyes darkening. Aaron, but then he leaned in, kiss fierce and claiming, and for a moment, the world was just them. Sweaty skin, labored breaths, the jukebox crooning Springsteen like a benediction. The betrayal hit on the eve of closing arguments. Aaron was crashing at Henry's again, the apartment a war zone of briefs and empty coffee mugs. He was rummaging for his charger when he found it. A locked drawer in Henry's desk, key half hidden under a stapler. Curiosity, that old devil. 1. Inside, emails, printed and damning. Correspondence with Hargrove's firm. Timestamps from months back. Clients unstable. Leverage the social media for settlement pressure. One read, signed HW. Henry's initials. Aaron's vision tunneled. Unstable, leverage, all those nights. The whispers. The I love you s part of the strategy? To keep him pliable, desperate, willing to fold? He confronted Henry in the kitchen at dawn, papers clutched like a crucifix. What the fuck is this? Aaron's voice cracked, raw as a fresh wound. Henry froze, coffee mug halfway to his lips, color draining from his face. Aaron, it's not. Don't, Aaron snarled, shoving the stack at his chest. You played me. The whole goddamn thing. A sob story to pump me for dirt, make me crack. Henry's eyes, those green depths Aaron had drowned in, flickered with something. Guilt? Panic? It was before, he stammered. Before us. Hargrove approached me off record, floating a back-channel deal. I shut it down. I swear, but the date slide, one email, 2 weeks ago. After Fire Island. After the elevator. After everything. The fight was ugly. Words like shrapnel. You're just like them, Aaron spat, tears hot on his cheeks. Hiding behind your suit. Your discretion. I thought you saw me. Henry reached for him, desperate. I do see you. God, Aaron, you're the only real thing I've. But Aaron was already at the door, coat forgotten, storming into the gray morning. The subway ride back to Brooklyn was a blur of fluorescent hell, strangers' stares boring into him like judgments. Closing arguments dawned brutal, skies dumping rain like heaven's own fury. Aaron sat in the back row, incognito in a hoodie, watching Henry pace the well like a caged panther. His voice was gold, weaving Aaron's story into a tapestry of American hypocrisy, promises of equality twisted into knots by fear. My client didn't ask for a parade, Henry thundered, eyes sweeping the jury. He asked for fairness. For the same shot at the dream this country sells to every kid with stars in their eyes. The jury leaned in, Hargrove fidgeting like a schoolboy. Aaron's chest ached, torn between rage and that stupid, stubborn love. But as the jury filed out, Henry caught his eye, a glance across the aisle, raw and pleading. Aaron bolted, weaving through the marble halls, pulse thundering. Outside, the rain lashed the steps, protesters scattering like leaves. He ducked into the alley beside the courthouse, breath ragged, when the van pulled up, unmarked, black, one of those surveillance rigs the team used for witness prep. The door slid open. Get in, Henry hissed, rain dripping from his hair. Aaron hesitated, fists clenched, but the downpour won. He climbed in, door slamming shut behind him, sealing them in the dim, humming space. The van was a cocoon of shadows and screens, monitors flickering with looped footage of the trial, consoles cluttered with cables and cold pizza boxes. Rain drummed the roof like impatient fingers. Henry slid the partition shut, killing the driver's view, and turned, suit jacket discarded, tie askew. Aaron, please. Let me explain. His voice was wrecked. That bourbon smoothness cracked. Aaron backed against the far wall, arms crossed like armor. Explain? You think words fix this? You sold me out, Henry. For what? A quicker win. Less mess in your perfect life. Henry stepped closer, the space shrinking, air thick with the scent of wet wool and desperation. It was a feint. Hargrove's desperate, he knows we're winning. I fed him bullshit to throw him off. Buy us time. He pulled a USB drive from his pocket, holding it out like an olive branch. Recordings. Of him admitting the back channel. It's leverage for you, for the case. Aaron snatched it, but his hand shook. And me? Was I leverage too? The lovesick idiot to keep on the hook? No. Henry's hand caught his wrist, thumb stroking the pulse point, igniting sparks Aaron hated himself for feeling. Never you. Christ, Aaron, you're the reason I'm fighting this hard. Before you, it was just cases, faceless injustices. Now, it's personal. You're personal. His free hand cupped Aaron's jaw, tilting it up, eyes locking with an intensity that stole breath. The van rocked gently in the wind, world outside fading to white noise. Aaron's resolve cracked, a sob escaping. I can't trust you. Not after. But the words died as Henry's lips crashed into his, fierce and forgiving, tasting of rain and regret. Aaron shoved at his chest, half-hearted, hungry, then pulled him closer, fingers twisting in Henry's shirt. They stumbled against the console, monitors casting blue ghosts over flushed skin, files scattering like confetti. Henry's mouth trailed fire down Aaron's neck, teeth grazing collarbone, hands fumbling with belt buckles in a frenzy that bordered on violence. "Henry," Aaron gasped, head thunking back against the van wall, legs parting instinctively as Henry dropped to his knees, rain-slick hair falling into his eyes. "We can't not here," but they did, the cramped space amplifying every hitch of breath, every slide of fabric. Henry's touch was reverent, worshipful, mapping scars Aaron didn't know he had, emotional, invisible. Fingers delved, teasing, claiming, until Aaron arched, a cry muffled against his own fist. It was messy, urgent, the kind of sex that bound wounds even as it tore them open. After, sprawled on the van floor amid tangled limbs and toppled gear, reality seeped back. Henry's head on Aaron's chest, heartbeat sinking like a metronome. "I love you," Henry murmured, voice muffled. "Scared the hell out of me, but it's true." Aaron threaded fingers through his hair, staring at the rain-veiled ceiling. "Prove it. Win this. For real." A buzzer shattered the haze, juror note from the foreman. Deliberations over. They scrambled, zipping and buttoning, Henry's laugh breathless as he straightened his tie. "Out of hand." "Ha!" Aaron smirked, wiping a smudge from Henry's cheek. "You have no idea." Hand in hand, fuck discretion, they emerged into the storm, courthouse looming like Judgment Day. The verdict room waited, but for the first time, Aaron felt armored. Not alone. The double doors to the courtroom swung open with a pneumatic hiss, and the jury foreman stood there, envelope in hand, face unreadable as a poker pro's. Aaron's stomach knotted tighter than the cables in the van, Henry's grip on his hand a lifeline slick with sweat. They slipped into the back pew, the room humming with anticipation, reporters tapping feet, Chad's camp whispering like snakes, the judge settling her robes like a queen on her throne. Henry squeezed once, then released, striding to the plaintiff's table with that predatory grace. But Aaron saw the tremor in his fingers as he adjusted his cufflinks. "All rise," the bailiff boomed, and the room complied in a rustle of fabric and held breaths. The foreman cleared his throat, voice steady, "In the matter of Whitaker v. Apex Advertising, we the jury find in favor of the plaintiff, Aaron Ellis, on all counts of discrimination and hostile work environment." A gasp rippled through the gallery, Chad's face crumpling like wet paper. Aaron's knees buckled. He gripped the pew, vision blurring. Victory. But it tasted bittersweet, laced with the what-ifs of betrayal's shadow. Henry turned, eyes finding Aaron's across the chaos, a grin breaking wide boyish, unguarded, the kind that made Aaron's heart stutter. The judge banged her gavel, awarding damages that would cover therapy for years, but Aaron barely heard. He was already moving, weaving through the scrum of backslaps and camera flashes, pulling Henry into a hug that bordered on indecent for a federal building. "You did it," Aaron whispered, chin hooked over Henry's shoulder, inhaling the familiar mix of cologne and courthouse dust. "We did it." Outside, the rain had eased to a drizzle, protesters whooping as news broke on phones. "Justice for Aaron," one sign read, held by a drag queen in full regalia, sequins catching the light like defiant stars. Henry steered them toward the van, still parked crookedly in the loading zone, wipers on intermittent, driver dozing inside. Ride with me? Henry asked, door sliding open. Aaron nodded, the weight of the day settling like lead in his bones. They didn't speak at first, just sat shoulder to shoulder on the bench seat, watching the city blur past. Taxis splashing puddles, steam rising from grates like ghosts. Henry's hand found Aaron's thigh, thumb tracing lazy circles, a silent apology. About the emails, he started, voice rough. Aaron cut him off with a look. Later. Tonight. Your place, real talk. No bullshit. Henry nodded, relief softening his edges. Deal. But first. Celebrate. The bar they picked was a hole-in-the-wall off Bowery. All exposed brick and fairy lights. The kind of spot where artists nursed IPAs and eyed each other like potential muses. It was queer as hell. Bartender with a sleeve of tattoos pouring neon shots. Jukebox blasting Chapel Roan. Their corner booth became a bubble. Shots of something blue and vicious. Henry's foot hooked around Aaron's ankle under the table. Laughter bubbling up unbidden. Remember that deposition? Aaron slurred, leaning in, cheeks flushed. When you grilled Chad about his bro culture and he turned beet red? Henry chuckled, low and warm. Guy looked like he was gonna pop. Worth every billable hour. As the night deepened, the high faded into something softer, vulnerable. Aaron's buzz turned maudlin, the wind cracking open old wounds. What if I'd lost? He murmured, staring into his half-empty glass. Back to Ohio, tail between my legs. Mom's church friends whispering about the disappointment. Henry's hand covered his. Steady. You wouldn't have. You're tougher than this city, Aaron. Hell, tougher than me. A beat, then quieter. I meant what I said. I love you. And I'm done hiding. Aaron searched his face, looking for the lie, but found only raw honesty, lines etched deeper by years of closeted compromises. Your kids? The ex? That's a lot to upend. Henry sighed, signaling for the check. Already started. Told the firm today, after the verdict. Pro bono partner track. More time with the boys. And yeah, it'll be messy. But life's too short for half measures. Outside, the air nipped crisp, stars peeking through cloud breaks. They walked arm in arm to the subway, Henry's head on Aaron's shoulder, a tableau of tentative normalcy. Back at Henry's apartment, the one with the killer view and the king bed that smelled like fresh laundry, Aaron finally unloaded. Pacing the living room, USB drive clutched like a talisman, he replayed the drawer discovery, the gut punch of betrayal. Henry sat on the couch, elbows on knees, taking it without flinching. I fucked up, he admitted when Aaron wound down, voice stripped bare. Not the emails, those were tactical, I swear. But keeping you at arm's length, thinking I could compartmentalize us, that was cowardice. Pure and simple. Aaron stopped, chest heaving. Why? Afraid I'd bolt if it got real. Henry rose, closing the distance slow, like approaching a skittish horse. Afraid you'd stay. And I'd ruin you, like I ruined my marriage, chasing the right life. His hands framed Aaron's face, thumbs brushing tears Aaron hadn't realized were falling. But you make me want to try. To be the man who deserves this. The kiss that followed was slow, deliberate, a sealing of packs, not desperation. They tumbled to the bedroom, bodies familiar now, mapping each other with the reverence of survivors. Morning brought coffee and croissants from the deli downstairs, sunlight slanting through blinds like golden bars. Aaron woke to Henry humming in the kitchen, shirtless, Scars from a long-ago appendectomy, silver against tan skin. Ex-wife called. Henry said over mugs, casual as passing the sugar. Congrats on the win. And asked about you. Aaron's spoon paused mid-stir. Yeah. Henry grinned. Sheepish. Told her you're the reason I finally grew a pair. Laughter broke the tension. Light and free. But New York doesn't do tidy endings. By noon, Chad's countersuit hit the wires. Defamation. Emotional distress. The works. Hargrove's parting shot. Petty and predictable. Aaron's phone blew up. Reporters. Well-wishers. His mom forwarding prayers from the church ladies. Henry was already on it, drafting motions from his laptop. But Aaron felt the drag. The endless fight. The American dream's fine print. Win one battle. Gear up for the war. That afternoon, they drove to Connecticut for Henry's weekend with the kids. The boys, 10 and 8, all gangly limbs and gap-toothed grins, were a whirlwind. Soccer in the yard, pizza for dinner, stories about school crushes that made Aaron bite back smiles. Uncle Aaron, the younger one, Miles, asked over Monopoly, pieces scattered like battlefield casualties. Dad says you're his boyfriend. Is that like in the movies? Henry choked on his root beer. Aaron, heart swelling, ruffled the kid's hair. Something like that, buddy. The good ones. Anyway, driving back that night, highways empty under harvest moon. Aaron's hand in Henry's lap. He felt a quiet shift. This wasn't fireworks, those came and went. This was foundation. Cracked but solid, built on ruins. Think we'll make it? He asked, voice small against the engine hum. Henry glanced over. I soft. Hell if I know. But I'm all in. Weeks blurred into a rhythm. Motions filed. Headlines faded. Aaron job hunting with a fatter resume. Verdict gold. Evenings were theirs. Cooking disasters in Henry's kitchen. Walks in Central Park where leaves crunched underfoot like applause. Sex evolved too. Less frantic. More exploratory. Lazy Sundays tangled in sheets. Henry's mouth tracing tattoos Aaron had inked in rebellion. This one's my favorite, Henry murmured once. Lips on the rainbow serpent coiling Aaron's ribs. Reminds me of you, fierce, colorful, impossible to pin down, but shadows lingered. A late-night call from the nonprofit. Another client, another story eerily like Aaron's. You up for mentoring? They asked. Aaron hesitated, glancing at Henry's empty side of the bed. He was at a deposition. The weight of it all pressed. Was this his path now? Advocate, not creator. He hung up, staring at the skyline, neon promises mocking him. Thanksgiving loomed, Ohio calling like a siren's dirge. Aaron's mom, voice laced with that passive Midwestern steel. Bring him. See if he measures up. Henry laughed when Aaron relayed it, packing the car with pies and trepidation. The drive was a gauntlet. Cornfields giving way to suburbs, radio scanning classic rock to fill silences. Nervous? Henry asked, hand on Aaron's knee. Petrified. Mom's got that smile, sharp as a Ginsu. The house was a time capsule. Faded wallpaper, Jesus on the mantle, turkey roasting with all the trimmings. Mom, Lillian, bird-boned and blue-eyed, hugged Aaron stiffly, then eyed Henry like he was a used car. So, you're the lawyer. Henry charmed. Of course. Stories of the trial minus the grit. Compliments on her pie that had her thawing by pie time. But dinner cracked open. Dad, silent as ever, finally grunting. Heard about the thing at work. That why you're... You know, the table froze. Aaron's fork clattered. Gay? Yeah, Dad. This is why I sued. And won. The fallout was seismic. Words flew hurt. Not hate, but close enough. We raised you better, Mom whispered later, tears streaking flour-dusted cheeks. Henry waited in the car, engine idling, giving space. Aaron emerged shell-shocked, sliding into the passenger seat. They're trying, he said, voice hollow. In their way, Henry pulled him across the console, holding tight. And you're trying in yours. That's enough. Back in the city, winter gripped hard, slushy streets, breath-fogging windows. Christmas Eve found them at a queer youth shelter, volunteering, Aaron reading stories to runaways, Henry wrangling gift wrap. Kid, 16 and scared, clutched Aaron's sleeve. You think it gets better? Aaron knelt, Henry's hand warm on his shoulder. It does. Not perfect, but real. And you've got people, like us, who'll fight for it. New Year's dawned crisp, fireworks popping over the harbor. They watched from Henry's balcony, champagne flutes clinking, bodies pressed close against the chill. To us, Henry toasted, lips brushing Aaron's temple. Messy, beautiful us. Aaron leaned in, heart full. But as the clock struck, his phone buzzed, a text from an old agency contact. Heard you're free. Got a gig, creative director. Your call. Choice loomed, sharp as January wind. Stay in the fight, or chase the dream that started it all. Aaron pocketed the phone, turning to Henry. What if I said yes? Henry's smile was slow, proud. Then I'd say go. I'll be here, holding down the fort. The kiss that followed tasted like possibility, tart, sweet, endless. Spring erupted in New York like a fever dream. Tulips bullying through concrete cracks, food trucks hawking falafel wraps that steamed in the sun, the air buzzing with that electric thaw. Aaron took the job, creative director at a boutique firm in Soho, all reclaimed wood desks and millennials brainstorming over oat milk lattes. It was a fresh start, no chads in sight, just diverse teams pitching campaigns for indie brands that actually gave a damn. His first pitch deck, a series of ads for a queer-owned coffee chain, baristas with pronouns pinned to aprons, landed a 7-figure contract. Henry framed the email confirmation on their fridge, next to a crayon drawing from Miles, stick figures holding hands under a lopsided rainbow. Us, Henry had said, kissing Aaron's temple that night, cork popping on a bottle of Veuve. Their place now, officially, keys exchanged over dim sum in Chinatown. Henry's apartment, Aaron's touch, succulents on the sill, protest posters thumbtacked above the bed, a drawer for his teas amid Henry's starched shirts. Domesticity suited them, surprisingly. Mornings were rushed, Henry in boxer briefs, fumbling eggs while Aaron showered, singing off-key to Phoebe Bridgers. Evenings unwound slow, take-out tie, feet tangled on the couch, binging true crime docs that ended with Henry pulling Aaron into laps. Murmurs of "you're safe" against heated skin. But bliss had fault lines. Henry's firm, old money, mahogany-paneled, wasn't thrilled with his lifestyle pivot. Whispers in the halls, partners side-eyeing his rainbow lapel pin. A big case came in, pro bono for a trans teen suing her school district, echoes of Aaron's fight. Henry dove in, nights stretching long, coming home hollow-eyed, venting over midnight Merlot. They want me to settle, he'd growl, pacing the living room, Say it's prudent. Fuck prudent. It's erasure. Aaron would pull him down, hands soothing tense shoulders. But worry not. Was this sustainable? Henry's fire, once banked for survival, now raged unchecked. The first real quake hit in May, cherry blossoms shedding like confetti. Aaron's mom visited, flying in for a weekend, just to see the city. Neutral ground. Brunch at a spot in the West Village. Mimosas and avocado toast masking the undercurrent. Lillian arrived prim in cardigans and pearls, eyes widening at the rainbow flags fluttering from brownstones. It's colorful, she said, voice pitched high. Henry played host flawlessly, charming anecdotes about the boys, questions about her garden club. But over coffee, she cornered Aaron in the bathroom. He's older, honey. Settled in his ways. What if he changes his mind? Aaron's reflection stared back, jaw tight. Mom, he's the one who fought for me. Literally, she patted his hand, that Ginsu smile flashing. Love's a gamble. Just protect your heart. The words lodged like thorns, sprouting doubt. That night, tangled in sheets, Aaron traced Henry's jaw, voice tentative. Ever regret it? Us? Henry stilled, then rolled to face him, eyes fierce in the moonlight. Only that I waited so long, but the seed was planted. Work amped the pressure. Aaron's team landed a client. Apex's competitor, a slick conglomerate sniffing redemption PR. We want your story, the exec said over steak at Delmonico's, fork pausing midair. Authentic voice, turn the verdict into our brand narrative. Aaron choked on his wine. Henry, across the table, went granite. He's not a mascot, he said flatly, signaling the waiter. The exec backpedaled, but the offer lingered. 6 figures, equity, a corner office without the ghosts. Aaron agonized, pacing their bedroom while Henry prepped for the teens' trial. It's validation, he argued to his reflection, but it felt like selling out, monetizing pain for corporate shine. Henry caught him at it one dawn, arms wrapping from behind. Whatever you choose, I'm proud. But don't let them own you. The kiss was grounding, but Aaron's mind raced. Was this his chance? Or a trap? June brought pride. Manhattan a riot of glitter and bass-thumping floats. They marched, Henry in a legalized love tee stretched over his chest. Aaron with a sign reading, won my case. Won his heart. The crowd surged. Bodies pressing close, chants rising like prayer. A news crew snagged them for a spot. Tell us your story. The mic thrust forward. Lights hot. Aaron faltered, Henry's hand steadying. It's about fighting, Aaron said, voice carrying. For the table, not the scraps. They cut, but the clip went viral like pouring in. Strangers demanding thanks. For a night, it felt invincible. Then the backlash. Hargrove, that shark, resurfaced in an op-ed, Victimhood for Profit. How one man's agenda undermines American values. Chad retweeted it. Anonymous accounts piling on. Gold digger. Token hire. Aaron's inbox flooded. Hate mail. Death threats filtered by IT. He laughed it off at first, but sleep fractured. Nightmares of courtrooms morphing to mobs. Henry fielded calls from the firm. Damage control. But his own case tanked. School board digging in. Painting the teen as disruptive. They're using us as ammo, Henry fumed one night. Slamming cabinets. Twisting our win into their wedge. The fight spilled over. Ugly and inevitable. Aaron snapped after a 12-hour day. finding Henry on the couch, laptop glowing with settlement offers. "Take it," Aaron said, voice edged. "End this circus." Henry looked up, wounded. "You think I'm folding?" Aaron's temper flared, exhaustion fueling it. "I think you're bleeding us dry. For what? Martyr points? I'm tired, Henry. Of the headlines, the what-ifs. Maybe Mom's right. Maybe this is too much." The room iced over. Henry's face shuddered, that old wall slamming up. "If it's too much, go. Take the Apex gig. Play poster boy." Aaron recoiled, words a slap. "That's not." But Henry was up, grabbing keys. "Need air." The door clicked shut, final as a verdict. Aaron sank to the floor, sobs racking him. Hours ticked by, radio silence, panic clawing. The 3 a.m. The door creaked. Henry, rumpled, eyes red-rimmed, bearing greasy diner bags. "Walked the bridge," he said, voice hoarse. "Thought about jumping, not literally. Just quitting." He dropped beside Aaron, passing a fry. "You're right. It's exhausting. But you're my why, Aaron. Without you, it's noise." They talked till dawn, raw, unfiltered. Fears unpacked. Aaron's terror of becoming the gay tragedy. Henry's dread of losing the boys to a world that'd label him unfit. "We're in this," Henry vowed, forehead to Aaron's. "But smarter. Boundaries." Aaron nodded, sealing it with a kiss salty with tears. Summer scorched in, humidity thick as regret. Aaron turned down Apex, pitching instead a freelance collective, queer creators, no suits attached. Henry mediated the teens' settlement, favorable, with policy changes. Vacations beckoned. A week in Provincetown, beaches and bike rides, hands linked on dunes watching sunsets bleed pink. "This," Aaron breathed, sand gritty between toes. "This is the dream." But autumn whispered returns. A letter arrived, certified, official, from Lillian. "Come home. Holidays. Bring him. We're ready." Progress. Tentative. Aaron showed Henry. Grin tentative. "Think we can pull it off?" Henry's arm slung around. "Easy. Like old times, minus the Ginsu stairs. Halloween hit with a bash at the shelter. Kids in capes, bobbing for apples. Aaron dressed as a lawyer briefcase prop, mustache fake, teasing Henry, who went as a client. Disheveled tea, sign reading sue me. Laughter echoed, but a call cut it short. Miles, voice small. "Dad? School projects on families. Can I mention you and Aaron?" Henry knelt, phone to ear, Aaron's hand on his back. "Buddy, you tell em whatever feels true." Thanksgiving Redux, Ohio under harvest gold, table laden heavier. Dad grunted approvals over turkey. "Heard you won big." Mom's pie served with questions. Gentle now. "How'd you know?" Aaron squeezed Henry's knee under linen. Felt it. In the bones. Winter crept, snow dusting the city like powdered sugar. New Year's Eve, rooftop party, city sprawled firework lit. Aaron pulled Henry aside, breath fogging. "Marry me," the words tumbled, impulsive, right? Henry's eyes widened, then crinkled. Hell yes, cheers drowned the yes, but it rooted deep. Spring again, cycle turning. Aaron's collective thrived, campaigns going global. Henry's firm? He jumped ship, started his own practice. Rainbow flag in the window. The wedding was small. Central Park, under oaks, boys as ring bearers, mom dabbing eyes. Vows exchanged. Simple, I choose you, every messy day. But life, that trickster, had one last twist. A client young, scared, fresh off a bad breakup, flirted hard during consult. Aaron saw the text later. Innocent, but loaded. Doubt flickered, old scars itching. Trust, he whispered to his reflection. Then to Henry over dinner. We good. Henry set down fork, hand over heart. Always. You're my verdict. And in the quiet after, bodies entwined, Aaron believed it. Love wasn't a win or loss. It was the trial, the appeal, the endless brief. Human, flawed, profoundly American. The honeymoon was a whim, a road trip up the Pacific coast, ditching the Hamptons cliché for Highway 1's wild curve. They rented a Mustang convertible, cheesy, but Henry's grin behind aviators made it perfect. Top down, wind whipping as they blasted Fleetwood Mac from tinny speakers. Stops were impulsive. Big Sur Cliffs, where Aaron proposed a second time on a whim. Ringless but earnest. Henry laughing till he cried. Monterey Cannery Row for clam chowder in sourdough bowls, feeding each other like newlyweds should. Nights in motels with neon vacancy signs. Sheets scratchy but sex sweet. Bodies learning new languages of touch in the salt air. Back in New York, reality reasserted with a vengeance. Aaron's collective ballooned, podcasts, merch lines, a TEDx invite that had him sweating scripts in coffee shops. Voice of a generation, the organizer called him, but Aaron felt like an imposter, 30 now, still fumbling the mic. Henry's practice hummed 2 high-profile cases, a book deal dangling for queer justice, winning in a rigged court, interviews piled up, schedules clashing like cymbals. Date nights became calendar Tetris, stolen lunches over falafel trucks where they debrief like co-counsels. The first fracture was subtle, a forgotten anniversary, 6 months married, Aaron planning rooftop rows, Henry buried in briefs till midnight. Shit, babe, Henry groaned, flowers wilting in his fist at dawn. Trial prep ate my brain. Aaron waved it off, but the sting lingered, paper cut to the soul. Then Aaron's big pitch, a national campaign for marriage equality packs, billboards from coast to coast. It meant travel LA, Chicago, DC weeks on end. Go crush it, Henry said, kissing him at JFK. I'll hold the fort, but forts crumble. In Chicago, Aaron's hotel room overlooked the Loop, lights twinkling like distant regrets. Texts from Henry grew sparse. Swamped, love you, a call with Miles, Dad's grumpy. Miss you guys, Aaron's gut twisted. Midway through, a blizzard grounded flights, he Ubered to a dive bar, nursing bourbon, when a guy bartender, all tattoos and easy smiles, slid him a free pour. Rough night, flirtation sparked, harmless at first, laughs over bad exes, shoulders brushing. Aaron pulled back, heart pounding, loyalty a reflex now, but the temptation whispered, what if? Homecoming was a whirlwind. Henry at the gate, roses and that sheepish grin. Missed you like hell. They fell into bed. Reunion feverish. But Aaron's mind snagged on the what if. Guilt a shadow. He confessed over breakfast brunch. Really, waffles drowning in syrup. Nothing happened, he rushed. But I thought. Fuck. Henry. Am I enough? Henry's fork paused. Eyes searching. You're everything. And yeah, I get it, distance does that. But we're solid. Talk to me. Always. The hug was fierce. Absolution. Summer sizzled. Barbecues in the park with the boys. Hot dogs charring. Frisbees sailing. Miles outing them to the neighborhood with gleeful shouts of "my dad's." Fall brought foliage tours to Vermont. Leaves aflame. Hands clasped on covered bridges. But work's grind persisted. Henry's book deadline loomed. Ghostwriter emails pinging at odd hours. Aaron's campaign launched to acclaim. Billboards blooming like wildflowers, but backlash brewed. Conservative outlets branding it propaganda, doxing threats spiking. One night, a brick through their lobby window. Sodom scrawled in red. Police report filed, but sleep evaded. Aaron bolting upright at shadows. Counseling started casual. A queer therapist in Chelsea. Rainbow flag on her door. Communication's your superpower, she said. Sessions unpacking the road trip highs against city lows. It helped. Date jars refilled with scribbled prompts. Dance in the kitchen. Tell me a fear. One slip. Remember our first fight? Aaron wrote. And Henry drew it, leading to tears and truths over candlelight pasta. Winter holidays split. Christmas with Lillian in Ohio. Hanukkah, Henry's half-Jewish heritage, with the ex and her new partner in Connecticut. Juggling ex. But growth showed. Dad carving turkey with questions about Aaron's outfit, meaning the firm, ex-wife, Sarah. Clinking glasses with Henry. You look happy. Really. New Year's. Just them. Bubble bath in the clawfoot tub. Bubbles popping like resolutions. Spring 2028 bloomed with surprise. Aaron's positive test. Pregnancy. Via surrogate they discussed in hypotheticals. Our kid, he whispered, stick trembling in hand. Henry hooped, lifting him in a spin, then knelt, forehead to belly. Hello, little firecracker. Consults followed. Agency matches. Profiles of smiling carriers. They chose Mia, a teacher from Queens, warm laugh on Zoom, wanting to build families. But joy tangled with terror. Aaron's anxiety spiked. What if I'm shit at this? The queer dad trope, will they judge? Henry held him through nights, humming lullabies he half remembered. Work adapted. Aaron scaling back travel. Henry delegating cases. Pride that year was poignant. Marching with future parents' signs. Crowd roaring approval. Summer swell. Mia's checkups. Ultrasounds grainy miracles. They painted the nursery yellow walls. Bookshelves groaning with Sandra Boynton. But cracks widened. A case went south. Henry's client, a bisexual woman fired for distraction. Jury swayed by Hargrove's ghost. Prejudiced holdover. Verdict loss hit hard. Henry drowned it in scotch. Snapping at Aaron over dinner. You wouldn't get it. Ivory Tower campaigns. No real stakes. Aaron reeled. Words flying. My campaigns fight the same war. Or am I just the pretty husband now? Silence after was arctic. Days of cold shoulders. Separate beds. Mia's call bridged it. Heartbeat strong. But stress bad for baby. Guilt propelled reconciliation. Henry at the door with takeout. Eyes haunted. I lashed. You're my stakes, Aaron. Everything. Tears. Apologies. Makeup sex tender as dawn. Fall harvest. Baby shower at the shelter. Kids decorating onesies with crayons. Names brainstormed. Riley. Neutral. Fierce. But November brought storm. Election cycle. Rights on the ballot. Aaron's PAC poured funds. But losses mounted, states flipping red. Headlines screaming rollback. Protests reignited. Aaron marching, Henry briefing legal teams. Exhaustion etched them, dark circles, snapped patience. Thanksgiving, Ohio refuge, turkey a bomb. Lillian held the ultrasound print, whispering, "Grandbaby." Dad clapped Henry's back. "Heard about the loss?" "Keep swinging. Progress. Pie sweet." Winter quickened. Braxton Hicks false alarms. Nest-building frenzy. New Year's. Quiet. Hands on bump. Toasting to 3. Spring 2029. Riley arrived at 3:17 a.m. May 15th. Wailing under hospital fluorescence. Aaron sobbed. Henry cutting cord with shaking hands. Homecoming blurred. Feedings. Diapers. Sleep in snatches. The boys visited. Miles cooing. Tiny human. Love swelled. Overwhelming. But parenthood's forge tested. Sleepless nights frayed nerves. Aaron resenting Henry's easier load, court hours flexible. Aaron's freelance rigid. A fight erupted over bottles. "You forgot again," Aaron yelled. Riley fussing. Henry stormed out, returning with coffee. Defeated. "I'm trying." "Teach me." Therapy doubled down. Co-parenting workshops. Dad groups in the park. Bonds mended. Stronger. Summer, beach trips. Riley in a bucket hat. Waves lapping tiny toes. Aaron's book deal memoir. Verdict to nursery. Inked. Writing sessions with baby on lap. Fall. Riley's first laugh. Henry's first dead clear as bells. Holidays glowed. Ohio with carrier Mia. Tearful thanks. Connecticut with extended clan. Toasts inclusive. Winter 2030. Aaron's launch party. Henry beaming. Riley gurgling in a sling. Speeches heartfelt. From courthouse van to this. Love's the real win. But life's plot twists unspool. A call in February. Sarah. Voice tight. The boys, Miles is struggling. School bullying. After the election rhetoric. Henry flew out. Aaron following with Riley. Counseling sessions. Heart-to-hearts. "It's okay to be us," Henry told Miles. Arm around. Aaron added, "We're your team, kiddo." Spring renewal. Family therapy. Progress charts. Pride March. Riley in stroller. Signs high. Summer Idol. Cape Cod Cottage. Sandcastles and stories. Fall Harvest. Aaron's book hits bestseller. Tours balanced with dad duty. Henry's practice expands. Pro bono wing named for Aaron. Winter Wonder. Riley's first steps. Wobbling to dada arms. New Year's. Clan complete. Fireworks personal. Yet, in quiet moments, Aaron reflected, the van, that chaotic crucible out of hand, yes, but birthing this. Human tapestry. Threads of conflict. Romance. Redemption. Years folded like origami. Sharp creases marking growth. Riley at 5. Mop of curls. Questions endless. Why rainbows? Daddy, answered with stories of parades and promises. The boys, teens now, navigated high school minefields. Theo coming out as bi. Miles a lying fierce. Sleepovers turning strategy sessions on apps and consent. Aaron and Henry's home. A brownstone in Harlem. Bought with book royalties and case wins, echoed with life. Dinner debates on climate. Bedtime reads of And Tango Makes Three. Work evolved. Aaron's collective morphed into a media empire. Docs and series amplifying marginalized voices. Henry's firm? A beacon. Clerkships for queer law grads. Amicus briefs stacking Supreme Court dockets. Accolades flowed, GLAAD awards, keynotes at Yale, but humility anchored. Annual van anniversaries, parking near the old courthouse, toasting with thermos coffee. To getting out of hand, Aaron would quip, Henry's laugh rumbling deep. Challenges persisted, life's stubborn script. 2035. Riley's kindergarten drama, teachers' traditional families, curriculum clashing with their two-dad reality. PDA meetings turned battlegrounds. Henry lawyering pro bono, Aaron rallying parents via viral posts. When came hard-fought, curriculum overhaul, but scars lingered. Riley asking, "Am I weird?" Aaron knelt, eyes level, "You're you, kid." "That's magic," midlife murmured. Henry at 50, salt and pepper full, knees creaking post-jog. "Feel ancient," he joke, but therapy unearthed deeper. Legacy fears, mortality's bite. Aaron, 45, chased relevance, podcasts aging him out. A sabbatical beckoned. Cross-country drive. Riley strapped in back, retracing their honeymoon route. Detours to Ohio, Lillian, frail now, rocking grandbaby photos. Dad's grave. Flowers placed with quiet, "Thanks for trying." West Coast epiphany. Yosemite under stars. Family tented. Riley roasting marshmallows. "Dad," Henry said, fire-lit. "This us is the verdict that matters." Aaron nodded, throat tight, pulling him close. Homeward. Renewed. Aaron launching a mentorship nonprofit. Henry mentoring clerks on work life. Storm hit 2038. Health scare. Henry's routine check flagging pancreatic shadow. Biopsies. Weights eternal. Nights clutching hands. Riley shielded with daddy's strong. Benign. Thank God cyst. Not cancer but the scare reshaped. Wills updated. Date nights prioritized. Love voiced daily. Riley at 10. Soccer star. Questions evolving. Can I be a lawyer like Papa? Blended worlds inspiring. Extended family wove tighter. Sarah's wedding to her partner. Boys walking her. Mia's second kid. Playdates overlapping. 2040 milestone. 20th vanversary. Courthouse unchanged. But they graying. Lined. Anchored. Picnic spread on the hood. Sandwiches. Wine. Riley, now teen. Rolling eyes at cheesy. Toasts turned teary. From betrayal to this, Henry said. Ring glinting. Aaron added. Out of hand? Best plot twist. Later years softened edges. Retirement loomed. Henry winding down. Aaron consulting. Grandkids arrived. Riley's partner. Adoption joys mirroring theirs. Ohio visits. Lillian's stories. Fading but fond. Final chapter. 2050. Henry 67. Aaron 62. Van sold. But memory etched. A quiet evening. Central Park bench. Hands laced. Riley's kids tumbling nearby. Worth it? Aaron asked. Head on shoulder. Henry's kiss. Featherlight. Every verdict. In the end, their story wasn't epic, just human. Conflicts forged stronger. Romances deepened by trials. Betrayals alchemized to trust. American as apple pie with rainbow sprinkles. Flawed. Fierce. Forever. Epilogue whisper. As dusk fell, Aaron murmured, Love you, Henry. Always. Fade to city hum. Enduring.